Chantal and I had a really nice trip back to Minnesota to see our family, especially to see her dad. And he's already doing just a lot better than I think either of us expected. And we're just grateful for that. God is merciful. He is known for his mercy. But it's definitely good to be back. We love turning onto 72 and driving up this road. It is so cold back home, you guys. It is so cold. The wind never stops. It is unbelievable. Good morning, and welcome to Sanctity of Life Sunday. At Whispering Pines Church, we value human life. We value human life not because we just think it's a good idea, but because God has given value to life. It's God who has done this. It's God who has instructed us. And we look to him to inform us in everything we believe and everything that we do. Scripture tells us that all that God created was good. All through the Genesis 1 creation account, God declares each element of his creation to be good. But ultimately, he creates humanity. And humanity is unique. Humanity is set apart. In Genesis 1, 26 and 27, we see the triune God declare, "Let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish of the sea and the birds of the sky, over the livestock and all the wild animals, and over all the creatures that move along the ground." So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them, male and female. He created them. Humanity was made in the Imago Dei, which means that we are like God. And God dealt with us differently. He has relationship with us. He disciplines us, instructs us, partners with us. The image of God in humanity is so valuable to God, so precious to him, that he declared a warning in Genesis 9:6. "Whoever sheds human blood, by humans shall their blood be shed. For in the image of God, has God made mankind." We value human life because God, our Father, whose very image we bear, values us. Today we're blessed to have Jenny Talcott and her family here with us to share from Alternatives Pregnancy Center. It's an organization that we support because they care deeply for life and because they take a compassionate approach to all life. Jenny's the Director of Development for Alternatives, and we're thankful to hear from her today. Please help me in just welcoming her here to share with us this morning.
Thank you so much, and for that message. Sorry I'm a little bit shorter than you are. So I got to pull us a little bit closer in. Yes, I'm Jenny, and thank you so much for welcoming our family. My husband Josh is here with me. Our son Josh Jr. has gone to class, and my daughter's at a sleepover. But we're the J family if you ever need to remember who we are. So I am Denver born and raised, married to my Oregon cowboy for 13 years. Our marriage is a teenager, and it acts like it, if you know what I mean. I run on three things. I run on caffeine, I run on humor, and I run on Jesus. And I do have the privilege of serving at Alternatives Pregnancy Center. So that's just a little bit about me. So if you get too bored or not off, I will bring in some of my humor to keep you attuned to what's going on. But I believe in story sharing. Story sharing is my passion. It's what connects us. It's what brings the humanity to an issue that's often divisive, an issue that's often restricted to policy and faraway thoughts, but let's bring the humanity back to what this issue is. So I want to share a story with you today. And I want to tell you about this woman who went to her doctor and said, "I'm done with my family. I have these two beautiful daughters that are 6 and 8. I'm thinking I want to take some permanent measures. My family's complete." And the doctor says, "You're going to have to wait 9 months because you're pregnant." And based on your reaction, you can imagine her reaction of, "Oh my goodness, a third child." And what this doctor didn't realize at the time is this woman was struggling. She was struggling financially to provide for her two daughters. She was struggling in her marriage, that she wasn't sure what the future held for that. She was looking to move back in with her parents. So the shock of a third child. But she goes on through, and 2 months later she starts bleeding, and the doctor says, "You're going to miscarry this child. It's not a matter of if, it's when." So he says, "If you're done dealing with it," those are his words, "sign these papers and we'll take care of it." And this woman's like, I'm confused. I was scared about this pregnancy, but now you're saying I'm losing this pregnancy. I can't make a decision right now. I'm too much in a different state of mind." She goes home and she continues to bleed, and she's convinced her doctor was correct. But upon going back to her doctor the next day, he found a heartbeat for the first time using only a stethoscope, which is very rare to do at that early of a stage. But again, he starts saying, if you're tired of dealing with this, we'll just sign paperwork. He never says the word of what's actually going to happen. But sign this paperwork, we'll go over to the hospital, we'll take care of it. And she goes, no, I'm just not sure. And he pushes further and he says things like fetal demise, scary words, incompatible with life. But the woman says courageously, as long as there's a heartbeat, I will do nothing. 7 months later, this woman on January 24th delivers a beautiful third child, healthy as can be, her third daughter, bless her heart, her third daughter. And it wasn't that her circumstances magically changed overnight, right? She still faced some really big hardships. But I know this story, and I share this story with you because January 24th is my birthday. I am my mother's third daughter. And I tell my mom all the time, obviously this story is quite a few decades ago. I won't bore you with how old. But my mom not only gave me life, she chose life for me. And it was a difficult few years. My parents separated for 3 years, didn't really know my dad for a while, but they got back together, and now they'll celebrate 45 years of marriage in October. I have my 2 older sisters that lovingly say I'm my mother's favorite. I say, yes, of course I am. I'm not, but it's okay. I like to say that I am. But now I have the privilege to stand here today, to advocate for a group that often doesn't have a voice. How rare is that? And yet in God's great design, that song was perfect. It was perfect. I almost started crying. God knew in his design, he wove me together for a time like this, where I could advocate for children like myself. But not just children of the unborn. We forget about the woman sometimes, but the humanity of the woman in this situation, the humanity of my mother in this situation. The deck was stacked against her. And yet, she had people come alongside her to give her hope and a path forward. And that's why I care so much about this issue. This is why I love Alternatives Pregnancy Center. I've been on staff 2 years, but I've been around the organization for 9 years. It started as a volunteer. I worked on their 24-hour helpline. I worked as a client advocate, sitting in the counseling room across from women facing insurmountable barriers. I want to read our mission statement because it really encompasses who we are. Alternatives Pregnancy Center cares for Denver area women and men, I'll come back to that, in pregnancy-related crisis, and offers them a meaningful alternative to abortion. Following the example of Christian love, we seek to meet their emotional, physical, and spiritual needs, and we enable and encourage them to choose life every single day. That's who we are. We always say free of charge, but I say free of judgment and free of charge. We don't want to get wrapped up in all the things, all the noise that's going on in our society, and we know it's out there. We're here to serve and love the person in front of us, the woman and the man. We recently launched last year what we call Legacy Men's Services, and we have a full-time staff, Ethan Van Buskert, that's a hard one for me, who's our men's program director. Bless his heart, he's one of 2 men on staff at Alternatives. But he leads the charge in supporting men because they're part of this conversation too. Kind of been kicked out the last few years, right, of this conversation. And we say, no, we want to preserve the family unit. Even if you're not going to stay together, you need to co-parent really well as a unit. And what Ethan is seeing is these men have thoughts and feelings but don't feel like they have space to process those. And so we've created Legacy Men's Services to come alongside them and ask them, what do you think? What do you feel? And how can we call you into responsibility? Because the reality is many of these men didn't have healthy father figures in their lives. And they're afraid that they'll repeat those cycles. So that's a part of that mama mentoring we also launched in the last couple of years because we believe life decisions require life support. It's not enough to just meet with someone in what we call the decision-making process. How are you going to come alongside them in the long term? It's not a one and done and your life magically turns around. My mom's life didn't magically turn around. So how do we come alongside them? So we have volunteer mentors for women and men, and it walks alongside them through the entire pregnancy and first year of baby's life. So 2 years of building relationship, 2 years of support, 2 years of diapers, which we also provide at every meeting that they have with their mentee. And we've seen that grow exponentially because they need community, they need support. I'm sure you've heard many of us talk. As you know, we have our 24-hour helpline. You can call any time of day, any time of night, 365, except this year, 366, because it's a leap year. And you will reach a live person who is there to listen to you, no matter what time of day. We have pregnancy tests and ultrasounds are becoming more pivotal than ever. A lot of women are receiving abortion pills by mail. It arrives at their doorstep. They never have an ultrasound. They don't know how far along they are. They don't know if they're having twins. They don't know. They might be miscarrying anyway. They don't know. So we really encourage women to feel empowered in their informed decision-making process. Come in for an ultrasound. It's free. We'll give you an ultrasound for free. Not in a manipulative way, but you need all the information if you're going to make an informed decision. We recently had a client come in October, shortly after she had had an abortion, and said, I believe I'm pregnant again. And upon doing an ultrasound, she was still pregnant with the pregnancy from before because they hadn't done an ultrasound. Yeah, it's more pivotal than ever. So that's good information. If you know someone in this situation, just empower them. Get an ultrasound done. Go somewhere where it's free. If you don't, it's about $100 anywhere else, and that's a big barrier. We also seek to love people beyond the decision-making process. If a woman does decide to have an abortion, we will offer her counseling after the fact, to love her and walk compassionately with her. And I'm excited because this year we've expanded that to men. We have a licensed professional counselor who will be volunteering his time to meet with men. Very exciting. We have material assistance. I don't know about you guys, but I felt the pain of inflation this year. Anyone else? Rent costs soaring, taxes, gas, you name it. It's astronomical. So we're working to serve in that way too. We offer gift cards for food, gift cards for gas. Diapers are huge. My kids are 9 and 10. I haven't seen a box of diapers in a while, thank you, Jesus. But I walked down the aisle, whoa, $50 a box, you guys. Wow. Eesh. So to be able to give them diapers, wipes, to support them in that. But that's just all the intervention. We also offer prevention. We don't want to just serve people immediately in crisis. How do we get in front of this? So we offer a youth education program called The Promising Future. And they go into schools, both private and public schools. They go into youth groups, they go into churches, they go into community organizations, and they teach young people how to value their own life. Because if I don't value my own life, how can I value your life? How can I value the life of the marginalized? How can I value the life of the unborn if I don't even know what value means? And teaching them skills to make self-honoring decisions. We also have STD testing and treatment regardless if you're pregnant. It's a way to have a conversation before they end up in an unexpected pregnancy. Last year, we decided to add counseling to that. So they're not only meeting with a registered nurse, they're meeting with a counselor too, with their permission. We are all about permission-based care. And getting to speak with these women and figuring out what's at the root of these decisions. Not in a judgmental way, but in a way of, I feel you're conflicted, I feel you're scared. How do we go to the root? And how do we redirect that? We offered $2.2 million in free services last year. Most of our funds, I'm the fundraiser, I have to say that, or I wouldn't be doing my job. But we offer all of that for free because of the generosity of other people. We don't get any government money. We don't qualify because of our faith-based and our stance in this abortion conversation. But that's okay because we have the generosity of so many people. 68% of our funding is people like you. It's churches like Whispering Pines. It's organizations that have grants for us. The Course Foundation has been very generous to us. I know they're your neighbors down in Golden. Ann Schuetz Foundation, that family is very passionate and supports us. But that's how we do this. This is how we bring this to them for free. I get to serve at tabling events a lot, and I bring my kids because I believe in teaching them from a very young age what this is and what this isn't. And we were handing out diapers like crazy. And this woman pulled me aside, and I was like, uh-oh, I upset somebody. Uh-oh. But she goes, why are you doing this? And I said, what do you mean, why are we doing this? And she goes, what are you expecting in return? I said, nothing. And she goes, I don't understand. I said, we're doing it because we believe in loving you well. And she got a little teary-eyed. She got a little confused. Why? I don't understand. Why would you love me? You don't even know me. And we said, we don't have to. We don't have to know you to want the best for you. And it really speaks to what Pastor Nate was saying, is that's what we're called to do. God ordained what the value of life was. We don't get to ordain that. Thank goodness we don't. We'd be in big trouble. Big, big trouble. We've come to believe a lie that life is only valuable if, fill in the blank. If you look this certain way, if you have full ability, right? We have a huge disabled community that gets put in that box. If you have wealth, if you have educated parents, if you have married parents, fill in the blank. Your life is only valuable under these circumstances. But we say, no, that's not what God says. God says, I gave you the value from the get-go. And I love what you said. We say until natural death. We say womb to tomb. We value life from womb to tomb, all people, regardless of anything else. The big exciting thing we're doing this year is adding a 4th location. So we currently have 3. We serve in downtown Denver across from Area campus, where Metro and CSU, Denver, I don't know, there's 3 of them there, and the Community College of Denver. And so we serve directly across that, but we did that intentionally to break down barriers for traveling to where we are. We have Aurora, which is right across from where the University Hospital is. We're on the opposite side of the highway. And we're down in Inverness, which is the Park Meadows County line and I-25 area. But this year, we're adding Arvada. It's the furthest north we've ever been, 88th and Wadsworth. And we're always a little hesitant. We don't want to go in a community and assume the needs of the community. We're very intentional. Is this a need? Is this something that we don't want to show up and open a shop and the need is not there, but the need is great in Arvada. The need is great as more young families move out of Denver and into the northern area. There's plenty of high schools up there that need alternatives. We've been invited by a church called Revive Church, and it's a very interesting project. They've had a whole horseshoe-shaped storefront. And they decided, we're cutting down our footprint, and we're only going to take this corner, and we're going to fill the rest with nonprofits to serve our community. There's a food bank. There's backpack supplies for foster kids. There's daycare. There's a coffee shop. There's a store where you can shop for free. And they invited us to come, and I'm very excited that we'll be there at the end of August. We're about this close to breaking ground on construction. It's been a journey, but we're very close. So be praying over that. We have staff jobs available. I know it's a bit of a drive for you guys, but it's a little bit closer than downtown Denver. I have some sheets back there. You can take a look. But pray over that as we expand and serve northern Colorado, because all people need alternatives. There's a big problem in our state, and I don't want us to get discouraged, but there's a big problem. There's a battleground for life happening here, and it's spiritual. It's spiritual and it's physical. There's a big increase that's happening, and people are coming from other states, flocking to Colorado, flocking to Denver. We have seen a huge spike as we're serving people. We've seen a huge spike as the migrant populations come in. We only have 2 bilingual staff members currently, so we decided to invest in a translation service so we can serve people in their native language, because the dignity of serving someone in their native tongue changes everything. And the thing we know about this life issue is it intersects with so many other issues. So many. Abortion's a symptom of a bigger problem. It's a bigger issue going on here. We have to serve them. We have to be the boots on the ground. It's not enough to hold up signs. It's not enough to sign petitions, but to be the hands and feet. And you're probably thinking, but how do I do that? I was thinking that years ago before I started volunteering. I was like, it's so big, I don't even know where to start. I'm paralyzed by this. And so I want to give you practical things, because I believe in practical. And I worked really hard with our director of communications, Lori, who's a dear, dear friend, and we decided on the PPP, because you can remember that, the 3 Ps. And the first is promote, letting people know we exist, letting people know it's a safe place. It's not a place where they're going to be met with judgment. It's not a place for that. It's not a place that's based on income or religion or race. It's for everybody. I have bumper stickers back there. I have water bottle stickers. I have all of those things. Let people know this is a safe, trusted place you can go. The second P is participate. This is the actionable part. I was talking to Pastor Nate. He's like, how does the church collectively get involved in this? And it's a bit of a drive, but I'd love for you guys to come see the clinic. Come see and experience it. See how professional it is. I'm not performing ultrasounds, I promise. I don't know how to do that. God did not give me that skill set. We have doctors, OBGYNs. We have registered nurses. We have diagnostic sonographers. I always have to remember that word. Professional medical team. We are HIPAA compliant. I think it's nicer than my doctor's office when you walk into that room. So come visit, come see it. Come to Arvada and see what's going on there. You can volunteer, and that is not just on site. The 24-hour helpline is how I first got involved. And at first it was a little scary. My background's in counseling. And even I was like, well, what do I do if I get a middle of the night call? But really, it's just about being heard. I don't know about you, but every time I have to call somewhere and do the automated thing and I'm yelling, representative, have you done that? That's not what I said. Oh my gosh. That's not this. It's talking to a live person. And it's mostly just saying, hey, I hear you. Let me take your name and we'll schedule you an appointment. That right there just de-escalates people immediately. And it's something you can do from your home. We have it automatically transferred to your cell phone during shifts. And you always have a staff member if things start getting crazy. I'm one of the staff on call, and so I'm always like, oh, Lord Jesus, don't let there be a crisis. But you have backup. You have backup. Prayer. That's the third P. I had someone say, that's the least I can do. And I said, no, that's the biggest thing you can do. That's the biggest weapon we have is prayer. Pray for our staff. Pray for our staff. Our client services team is our biggest team out of all of us. They hear heartbreaking stories. Heartbreaking every single day. We've seen an increase in human trafficking women that are coming through our clinics. And just pray for them because they love and serve them so well. So well. We always have a chaperone for our ultrasounds and STD testing just for the safety of staff and the safety of the client too. I had this funny story where someone had sent a message out and said, hey, I need a second person in the office, in the clinic. Is anyone available? And I was like, yeah, sure, I'm totally available. I'll walk on over. I was thinking you just needed me in the office. I didn't know I was walking into an STD test. Imagine my surprise. I'm like, let's go in. And I was like, oh, okay, we're doing this. And I stood awkwardly in the corner, but I got to see one of our nurses, her name's Sarah, see her in action. I was blown away. Like, I know our people are so kind. I know they're so kind. But to see the way she loved this woman, the way she was sensitive to her, listened. She did so much listening instead of talking. I was blown away. And I'm so grateful I had that opportunity. But I dream to live in a world where there's so much support, abortion's unnecessary. It's unnecessary because people know they're going to be loved well. People know they're going to be cared for well. They know where to go for help, and they're not afraid to ask for it. That's what I hope for. I say we have 3 words at Alternatives we offer to our clients. They're 3 life-changing words. You aren't alone. You are not alone. That's the most common thing we hear. I'm so alone. I can't talk to my parents. I can't talk to my boyfriend. I can't talk to my friends. I'm worried how people will judge me. And we say, you're not alone. And we also say you have alternatives. You are strong enough to look at other options. Our culture has twisted this big lie that this abortion's an easy way out, and it's not. It's not. The women we see in counseling, some of them, it's been 50 years or more. 50 years that they've been carrying this. I was at a church on New Year's Eve, which was interesting in and of itself, and this woman came up to me and she goes, I have to tell you something. And I was like, okay. And she goes, but you're going to hate me. And I was like, I doubt that. She goes, I had an abortion 60 years ago. I said, I don't hate you at all. You are loved, you are forgiven, and you are seen. And you are worth enough to get what you need to heal. But she's been carrying this for 60 years thinking people will hate her. That breaks my heart. I want to be known for what I'm for, not what I'm against. I want to be known as someone loving and approachable and compassionate. That's what I want to be known for. I've shared my story. I've shared some stories of our others. I'd love to hear your story. I'm always blown away by the stories. I hear stories of adoption, stories of parenting through difficult circumstances. Our executive director says unplanned pregnancy is part of our shared humanity. And I love that. She's a teen mom herself. And I love that because that is the great equalizer. Was Jesus not an unplanned pregnancy? I think about that all the time around the holidays. All the time. Poor Mary. Think of the shame that she experienced from her own people. It was an unplanned pregnancy, not for God. That was totally planned. But for Mary, that was a little shocking. But what if they would have responded with compassion first and shame didn't have a seat at the table? Would have looked very different. Would have looked very different. So I invite you to join me at the table back there. I have these wooden roses that was a brainchild of mine and my friend Lori's, and we said, how do we remind people of the humanity of who we're serving? So we have 2 colors of roses. We have pink and purple, which is our alternatives color. I'm representing that today. And our promising future is a yellow golden color because we believe that gold has value. We also, our curriculum is the diamond standard because it's the same thing. And they each have an attachment on it. And the pink ones have a name of a baby born last year. 211 babies were born last year to alternatives clients. It's a reminder to pray for that individual baby by name, the humanity of that baby, and his or her parents. And the yellow has a student that was served. We served over 339 students last year. They always joke that they want to work so hard that they're going to put us out of business. And I say, I hope you do, because there's not going to be any unplanned pregnancy because you've told everybody how to avoid that and how to value themselves. But I brought a bunch, so please take one as a reminder. They're wooden, they won't die. There's no thorns on there either. Take a rose as a reminder to pray for the name that's listed on that card. Promote, take stickers, take swag, and please pray. Pray for our staff, pray for our clients. I hear these client stories all the time, and yet God, you are the Redeemer. That's what I have to tell myself. We have such good stories that come out, not just sad ones. We have such good stories. So I don't want to leave on a sad note, right? This is a hard issue. There's a problem, but there's a solution, and there's hope. There's so much hope. So I want to tell you a story about some clients. It was such a beautiful thing. Caleb and Christina. And Christina went through mama mentoring, and Caleb went through fatherhood mentoring. They were part of our abortion pill reversal clients. We used to be able to offer a protocol that could reverse the effects of the abortion pill. Legally, we're no longer allowed to offer that, which is heartbreaking. But Caleb and Christina, they were the last to go through this process. And she already had a daughter. That's one of the myths, right? We're debunking some of the myths. She already had a child. They were married. She wasn't a teenager. And she said, I thought I'd be a bad mom if I had a second child. But we walked alongside her, and she delivered baby Finn in October, right before our fall event. We were all so excited. Baby Finn, baby boy. And she said, alternatives was our lifesaver. Caleb said, God sent alternatives to you. We've plugged them into a church. They wanted that. We've plugged them into a mom's group. Christina was struggling a little bit postpartum. But that's the power of alternatives, is coming and loving people. And we get to keep walking alongside them because baby Finn's only a few months old, so we got some time. But that's the power of compassion and love in action. You can't have truth without love, and you can't have love without truth. We say we speak truth in love. Care, compassion always is our tagline. And I'm so grateful for you guys. I'm so grateful for your heart. When I got to talk to Pastor, I was so grateful for the perspective, the loving, the groundwork of meeting people where they're at. That's what's going to change the tide on this culture. So thank you for your support. Thank you for indulging me in my stories. Please stop by the table, grab some literature, grab some chapstick. I don't know about you, but mine are so dry in this winter. Thank you, Colorado. So please join me back there, and thank you so much.